Welcome to Beyond the Headlines. I'm your presenter, Stephenson Worme, just substituting for Colin Dow, who is unavailable for tonight's program. Nice to be on board again. It's been quite a while since I've done this, and we have a very important subject matter that we'll be dealing with, road infrastructure outlook. That will be our main focus here this evening. I know that it's going to generate quite a great deal of interest because the road situation in our country obviously is something that people are talking about quite a lot. To my immediate left, let me introduce you to Mr. Carlisle Glean Jr., who is the CEO of Glean's Construction and Engineering Company. And to his left, we've got Mr. Kevin Blanche, who is the Chief Technical Officer in the Ministry of Infrastructure. Gentlemen, good evening and welcome to Beyond the Headlines.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Tell us a little bit about your own background in engineering, maybe a little bit about your studies. Don't go too deep. You forgot too many things to your name. So let's see how we can condense it and tell us a little bit. First, Mr. Glean.
Okay. Well, thanks for having me. Yes, I did a first degree in Cuba, first batch of students, revolutionary students, going up 79 to 85. Graduated from Cuba, returned to work at the Ministry of Works, Eastern Main Road to be exact. It was an extensive project from St. George's all the way St. David's, St. Andrews, and to St. Patrick's. From there, I went to do a postgrad at the Technical University of Nova Scotia. It's now Dalhousie. Have absorbed the engineering department, and so worked in Canada for a couple of years, then returned, and I've been here from 91. Set up my company in 95, and here we are.
Great. How's the company going?
We're getting work. Yeah, we do. Most of our work is based here in Grenada, although we have some in the other islands, mainly Stephenson. There are times we go on into other islands, but yes, we could be busier, but we're not complaining.
Nice.
Yeah.
Kevin, a little bit about your background.
So I have a bachelor's degree in civil and environmental engineering from the University of the West Indies in St. Augustine. And I also have a master's degree in something called soil mechanics and engineering seismology from Imperial College, London. So technically I'm a geotechnical engineer by training. I have been employed with the Ministry of Infrastructure since 2020 to present. Most recently as Chief Technical Officer since August last year.
Right. You enjoy what you do, don't you?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Very much. So let's go on to the subject matter. We're looking at roads here. Carlisle, we've come a long way, haven't we? When you go back maybe to the 60s and 70s, we've got a wonderful network of roads. There's no question about that. And the development of roads in Grenada, though we have a long way to go, we've come a long way, haven't we?
Yeah, I think generally the response to that question is a positive one, especially when compared with other islands. Grenada has a network of roads that's the envy of several other OECS islands, not necessarily Barbados, Antigua, and the flatter islands. But in terms of all the volcanic islands, Grenada, St. Vincent, Dominica, and St. Lucia, we're well placed. So yes, we've come a long way if we compare it with the 1960s. But when we look at what the traffic volume that the 1960s road had to accommodate, we're not increasing or improving at an acceptable rate. So meaning we're inviting an increased vehicular volume and we don't have the accompanying growth in the road infrastructure. And it's posing a little challenge, both from the design standpoint, meaning the life cycle of the road, the life span of the road is shortened, and the speed with which, the consequence of that is the speed with which we need to be back at resurfacing or rebuilding increases. So it becomes expensive. But yes, we've come a long way, but there's some missing, I'll call it management tools to properly manage that road network.
Okay. Oh, we're obviously going to look and delve deeper into that, but Kevin, we talk about what it was like back then, narrow roads, and one wonders how much, let's say, the Ministry of Planning, what a role they play in it. Because recently, in fact, I went up to what is known as Government House, and back then that road was very narrow, or is still in fact narrow, because we had horses that traversed to go into Government House until later on vehicles came. How important is planning in regards to ensuring good road development and networking?
Right. So, well, planning, of course, is very important. Like you said, we have inherited some issues that we really cannot move away from. That's just the, should I say, how close buildings are set out from the edge of the road. So at least in forward planning, so to speak, we are trying to make different moves in terms of setting standards for road width, vertical alignment, horizontal alignment, road safety features such as sidewalks, etc. Just to be able to more safely accommodate, road vehicles and road users as well.
But how difficult it is now. So many things are established. Buildings are closely netted along the road, linear pattern. In terms of changing that, won't it be a humongous task to change the whole pattern that we see with housing in regards to infrastructure?
Right. So what would be critical in that is being a bit more stringent in our enforcement of our planning guidelines in terms of setbacks from the edge of the road. In situations where we have no choice than to widen the roads in some locations, we have to do not necessarily forced acquisition, but acquisition of private property to improve, all of the features I mentioned before. It is actually something, and what Mr. Glean could tell you, basically every road we work on now, we have some manner of land acquisition to take place. Whether it be for actual widening of the road or just for access to be able to do the intended work, set up your site office, etc.
Is that highly challenging?
Essentially, yes. The longer the road, the more parcels you have to interfere with. Sometimes finding the people is a bit difficult. Getting a consensus. Although the law makes provisions for, should I say, more aggressive means of acquiring the land, we still in the ministry try to take a more, should I say, amenable approach in terms of engaging, the landowners and reaching some amicable, settlement with them to acquire.
Looking at our roads in general, Carlisle, we're talking about whether you're in the city or rural areas. In synopsis, would you say that our roads are generally good, or are they poverty-stricken, or they're in between? What would be your overall assessment of our road conditions in Grenada?
I think we taking a long, hard look at the role of our roads is overdue. Roads have several functions. It's not just to get from point A to point B. Yeah. I'm from Worme. They say it's a town that never sleeps. So people go by the road. Going by the road is an activity. You know what I mean? So there's a social function.
Yeah.
Yeah. Growing up, I mean, just driving from Goa to St. George's, you see guys playing football and cricket in the road.
Yes.
You know, so the road is more than the road. Yeah, and so I'm saying where we are with roads, we should really be looking at a two-pronged approach. Our historical and cultural roads, that's the existing inventory. But we need to be designing a new generation of roads, all right, to take goods and working people efficiently from Liverpool to Point Saline, with exits.
Right.
We need to
both east and west.
Yeah. Well, the exit's gonna take care of it, but we can't be looking at enhancing where the donkey carts used to pass. Right? We've gone past that, and the quicker we get to that, the new generation of roads, and it's not something where you abandon what's there, but it's something they have different functions. And so I'm saying that addressing our minds to that is overdue. Barbados did that long. That's why they have the highways. A lot of islands did that. Yeah, they either use some of the existing and combine it and made drastic improvements, much needed improvements. But what we're doing, it's not enough. This slow incremental improvements has its place, but the country and the times is calling for much more than that.
Talking about the country and the time calling for better, more efficient roads, obviously there must be key persons, key stakeholders in this move for better infrastructure and better roads, so to speak. Who holds the key to this?
Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah? It's a great question. Now, most countries and some of the islands, their roads are managed by a road management system where you feed data into the state of the road, how the width, the thickness of the asphalt, the base, and so you know when the country or a section of the island needs intervention. Now, I think recently meaning a few years ago, there was an advertisement out for a consultant to be engaged in a road inventory exercise. Mm-hmm. Right now, that was funded by one of the by the World Bank.
I can speak to that a little bit.
Yeah. Go ahead, and when he finished, let me take.
Go ahead.
Let him speak.
Let Kevin go on,
and then I'll when you're finished.
Oh, yeah, no problem. So thanks, Mr. Lean. So essentially, something that the government has undertaken through some funding from the World Bank is to create a road asset management system for the island. Currently, the consultants are on the ground conducting the analysis of the road network. To be fair, just Friday, I was out with them helping them find some of the roads based on our Roads Act, which was, I can't speak to the exact year that it was, envisaged. To be fair, some of the roads, I'm not even sure if that's the names of them anymore.
What are they primarily looking at and looking for?
So it's a few different things. So what they are essentially doing is cataloging the current inventory of roads that we have.
Okay.
They are also looking at things such as the road condition in terms of roughness, the geometry, the drainage or lack thereof, other road furnitures and so on, sidewalks, etc. Part of the scope involves conducting traffic counts as well, which is also important for the design of roads moving forward. In a sense, you need to know the size of vehicles, their weight, their numbers, to be able to correctly size the thickness of the various layers of the pavement as well. Part of the scope would also essentially give the ministry or the government a good idea as to the current condition of most of the roads, and as well as give you a priority list in terms of current condition or future projected deterioration, to at least be able to, streamline the repairs in, should I say, a 3 to 5 year type, arrangement.
Okay. Yeah, Carla, you were chiming in.
Yeah, these exercises, when funding is available for it, we need countries like Grenada, because when nothing exists, no database exists, we need the best experts available in that field. Yeah, and normally, and that's where I want to kind of appeal to whoever negotiates with CDB, right? There's formulas CDB give you when they assessing who should get a work and who should not, right? There's the formulas they give you could work generally, but when there's fundamental task like that one we speaking about, creating the data for all the road networks, because what's important in those things is historical data. Yeah, to pass in a month or 2 or 3 and look at the condition of a road and you don't have the history, yeah, the data is going to be light and could be misleading, right? So we had to, I'm not sure that I just want to be careful here because our consultant, as Kevin said, is on the ground. Yeah, but there's a formula that what I want to speak to is more the formula that led to them. All right, the formula that led to them is a 80-20 formula. It's a quality and cost-based selection. Yes. Now, I'm saying poor countries like Grenada need the best experts. Yeah. So, who has been evaluated as the best has the best technical team? Yes. Somebody who is not the best technical team but bid low should not be able to come and get it. Yeah, and that's what happens with a lot of these formulas. Yeah, the 80-20. I'm saying the quality and cost is important, but 20 is a lot of points to give somebody in a competitive score because they bid low, and that's what it is. When you're low, you get 20 out of 100, or 20% is used, but you get all of the 20. So my thing is that 20% should be 10 or 5 for certain tasks when you start at 0, because it's really baseline data, right? And you can negotiate with the best, but you want the best in the picture. Yeah, it's almost like if you're coming to design our first airport, or something where you don't do it twice. Yeah, you want to do it good and sound. So that appreciation, should be there in deciding and agreeing with CDB the conditions that would guide or govern the consultants that come on the ground. Because the question is, with whom does moving forward the roads reside? And if we barely get, if the report is an average report, yeah, then, sign off on it. Or would it be shared with, say, the Engineering Association for a robust review? Yeah, a robust review, not little comments, but the utility of it, But we don't like to come from behind and, well, that was in our terms of reference, and, there could have been deficiencies. So in what you ask the guys to do, not really deficiencies, but not complete. So my point is that there should be a recognition when a task is fundamental. And there's two main divisions in the infrastructure, in the Ministry of Infrastructure: buildings and roads. And when someone is tasked, or an entity is tasked with taking an inventory of all the roads, this is a major undertaking. Yeah, and so competence should govern.
Right. Yeah. And I agree with that. Quite a lot of monies will be put into this. So you want to get statistical data, you want to get information, and when you glean and garner all of these information, what do we really do with it? Do we get the skilled people to implement? Do we get the people who are knowledgeable? Or would we go back to exactly what we've been doing, the same old thing, and square pegs in round holes, and we don't get the job done, and we don't have efficient roads across the trial and state?
Yeah, I'm not sure what would be done here, but I know of companies that did that in several countries, and they couldn't wait for it to finish. As a matter of fact, they were training locals in using the tools that they would generate, that came out of their surveys, yeah, so that they could get almost like a seamless, while their study is going on section by section, they zone the islands, yeah, they were able to start implementing some of the findings, and yeah, so they tested it in real time.
So Kevin, you could probably address this better than Carlisle from the context you write in the ministry. What would be put in place after you would have gleaned all these pertinent information, and now for implementation? What would your ministry do, to ensure that it's implemented?
Right. So part of the terms of reference of the consultants is knowledge transfer to the staff of the Ministry of Infrastructure. So essentially, the island is divided now currently by we have road officers in various districts. So in essence, the road officers have been engaged with the consultant from time to time to conduct some of the tests that they are doing while they compile the initial sets of data. So for example, because the road officers are the most familiar in a particular area as to the roads, the names, they have some of the same historical data that Mr. Glean was highlighting. We thought that was the most prudent way to kickstart the process. So for example, the consultants are soon going to start some of their destructive testing. That is where they would basically start coring the road to know the existing pavement thickness and the strength of the various layers, etc. And then the road officers would be essentially out with them while they're conducting those assessments.
Is there any possibility that we'll have dire political interference in this brilliant move?
I don't think so.
I hope not. So we don't think no, but let's be, if you don't think so, but let's be honest, there's been so much political interference, and quite frankly, even in regards to our infrastructure, you have some politician who would say, this is what we want, this is what we expect. And they probably don't even have the sort of knowledge about the topography and the geological information. And then we have things rather messed up, Can we be assured that, look, this program and this initiative is going to be well thought out and well executed?
I would say on the ministries, and we are very keen on engaging the findings of the report as necessary, and factor it into our future planning as we look to advance our work of the ministry in terms of improving road infrastructure as well.
Okay, so let's just bend bend a little. I was coming down Lucas Street quite recently, and I was jolted. I mean, heavily jolted. My vehicle is not a high heavy-duty vehicle. It was jolted so badly that I actually came outside to survey what damage was done to it, and that was because one of our utility companies had done some digging up and obviously did not do a good job. There are a lot of people all across the country who are concerned about these situations where digging has taken place, it's not being covered properly, it's not being resurfaced properly. What does your ministry do about that? Any penalties involved?
From a penalty standpoint, for now, I cannot speak to that. Something that we do try to do is to have very close communication with the utility companies, so that when we are doing a new road, we try to have the utilities placed underneath that road in a similar time frame, so that you don't have situations that come up where you have a newly resurfaced road and then we now have to put in pipes. So it's a work in progress. I can't tell you that it's something that we've fine-tuned perfectly, but it's something that we're working on.
Yeah, actually, somebody told me they wanted to sue a particular company, and I said, I don't know much about
the rules, right? of engagement.
Yeah, but it is a concern. We have roads, and roads are designed not just for vehicular traffic. Roads are also designed for pedestrians, and not only drivers do complain, but we also have pedestrians who are complaining. Some time ago, a gentleman, fell into a culvert that was broken, had a bit of damage sustained. All of those are pertinent things that we need to look at. Do we have the sort of resources where you may have folk from your ministry that take a constant look at what's taking place with our roads across the country?
Yes, so we do have personnel assigned, like I said, in different districts, and they are responsible for, should I say, observing and also supervising some of the work to have repairs done to the roads as well. Is it a perfect system for now? No, everything needs, some work, especially some of the repairs that need to take place in terms of when utilities would have to do some work. So it's something that the ministry does have to, should I say, take a bit of a stronger stance on. So I guess I could give that commitment that we can, try to hold some of the utilities' feet to the fire a bit more, to ensure that the timeliness of some of the works is implemented. But even in the ministry, we do face challenges from time to time, some logistical issues, weather, material availability. So there are times when some of the delays that they face may be, justifiable, But in a sense, it's a collaborative approach, and I guess we all have to try our best to see how we can mitigate against.
Yeah, you talk about it being collaborative. You think we've been doing half as good enough as we could do collaboratively?
Maybe not, but it's something that since I have been in my current role, we have been trying to engage better with the utilities, so that we are a bit more proactive as opposed to reactive. So, for example, at the new road we are constructing at the cliff, we intend to replace the age infrastructure from some of in terms of the pipelines in that area now. So at least because the pipe that traverses the area presently is nearing the end of its useful life from conversations with NAWASA, and then essentially we are trying to put in a backup line underneath the new road. So at least when it is opened, we shouldn't see any issues in terms of the road having to be excavated to put in pipes, because we didn't envisage it happening in a timely manner. And it's something that we're actually trying to do progressively on some other roads that we are trying to do. So one of our plans is to do some resurfacing and rehabilitation, let's say from the airport back to Burns Point. But NAWASA currently has some upgrades carded to start in the new year in that area. So we would hold off on some of our work in anticipation to that, so that we don't have this freshly paved road and then persons are disheartened when they see that it's being dug up to put in some new pipes when proactively we could have seen it before.
Carlisle, we don't have a whole lot of roads in Grenada that you can smile about. But I'm thinking about two roads. I refer to the Worme road and also, let's say, the Munjaloo road, which, in my opinion, have stood up quite nicely. I think might be about 19 years in the case of Munjaloo, and there are very few potholes there. What may have attributed to the longevity of those two roads?
Yeah, a big one of the two roads you mentioned, fortunately, the edges of the asphalt pavement is confined with a concrete structure, either a slipper drain, a box drain, or a retaining wall. One of the main reasons for the rapid raveling, I call it, of our roads is when it doesn't terminate, the concrete pavement doesn't terminate with some structural member to confine it. What that does is that the edge is never properly compacted.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, when the roller passes on it, it just goes further and further, but it's not compacted. And so what happens is that the roads where you find concrete structures, slipper drain, box drains, retaining walls, or just curbs on both sides of the pavement, you see them, their life is unbelievably long. Yeah.
Maybe to a lesser extent, those roads, the soil type in the area is probably a bit better than.
Yeah, the soil type speaks to the base, right? Now, if you may have base that is soft clay, and if it's removed and replaced with TIF or some material that could be properly compacted, you get a similar lifespan.
So let's look at soil base and also topography. How challenging is that in regards to Grenada and road and longevity?
Yeah, we struggle in Grenada because for lack of funding, we have to make the thickness of the pavement what it really should be. It's much less. Yeah, I think normally we put 2-inch loose. That's a kind of typical standard, and then it's compacted, or 2.5 loose, compacted to 2. Sometimes 2 inches compacted smaller. There's limitations on the pavers we have here. Yeah, paving equipment that we have. Yeah, the Chinese were at the airport doing some work, and I think they assisted whatever paving was happening at the time, but I think they're here permanently. So we have limitations with equipment, limitations with asphalt mixes, inconsistent quality. We have limitations with aggregates because it's blended aggregates we use. There's no quarry that spits out the perfect base material gradation, so you have to mix it with fines, and that process of mixing is quality get compromised, and so you might find a stretch of road, part is good, part not so good, part bumpy. We call them industry problems. But when the main client, the sole client, not the main, the sole, because except for private parking lots, is the government of Grenada that purchases asphalt. And what is happening there is part of the dismantling of the management of road infrastructure. The state of affairs is just a reflection of that systematic dismantling and ignoring of what it takes to manage roads properly. Yeah, you can't have mix designs, material quality, consistency. It's expensive. Asphaltic products are expensive. They're petroleum based, so you know the price of gas, so you know it's expensive. And what we get as a country is sorry. It's sad.
Yeah, we know it's expensive, but have we done well enough?
Yeah, you see, it's private. It's private. So it's as though we're saying a certain concrete ready-mix supplier, his quality of concrete isn't good. At least if supplier 1 isn't good, you could go to supplier 2. But when you only have one supplier for asphalt, and you're stuck, and the country is stuck, and Grenada is stuck, and we've been stuck for over 20 years.
Well, folk, we are looking at, taking a look at roads here in Grenada. We're going to take a short break, and then we'll be right back. Quite a lot to talk about this evening. We'll be right back.
Part of the world, we need to be prepared for natural disasters like storms and hurricanes, even outside of the season. I'm sure you'll agree that keeping our loved ones, homes, and businesses safe is important. So, I came up with a few quick tips to help you stay safe. First, make a family disaster plan and ensure that everyone in your household is familiar and comfortable with it. Remember to add batteries and flashlights to your emergency kit. Don't be caught off guard by natural disasters. Prepare now. For more information, visit grenlec.com.
Are you looking for a reliable, affordable, and customer-friendly pharmacy? Look no further than Hills and Valley Pharmacy, the nation's leading healthcare products and services provider. We are committed to serving you at convenient locations. Find an extensive and affordable selection of prescription and over-the-counter drugs and medical supplies at Church Street, Hillsborough, Carriacou, Jubilee Street, Grenville, St. Andrew, near the bus terminal, and Halifax and Grenville Street, St. George. Our committed team is always available to offer valuable assistance for managing your health and wellness. Discover the additional benefits of our wholesale distribution on Halifax Street and our Medcare Center on Grenville Street, where we provide in-house physiotherapy, massage therapy, doctor consultations, and eye care services. Our commitment is to satisfy all your healthcare needs, including competitive prices, loyalty rewards, and special discounts for seniors. Contact us at 435-6904 and WhatsApp 535-4734. Choose Hills and Valley Pharmacy. Remember, your health is our business.
Have you heard about the new Softweave bathroom tissue with total hygiene? As hygiene and safety have taken center stage, our bathroom tissue is now manufactured with 3 different technologies to offer the best protection for you and your family. UVC light technology for a safe and effective disinfection process, eliminating 99.9% of microorganisms. Also, production at high temperatures, killing all types of germs and bacteria. And it's pH controlled with delicate fibers to prevent irritation for even sensitive skin. Softweave Total Hygiene Bathroom Tissue. Available in supermarkets and shops island-wide. Visit Softweave Caribbean Facebook or Instagram pages for more information.
And welcome back. We're looking at the road situation here in Grenada, and we've got Mr. Carla Glean and of course Mr. Kevin Dash with us on tonight's program. Let's talk a little bit about drainage, because that is highly important. We had a bit of a shower earlier on, and I was in Granance by that Wall Street, that's right. It wasn't Wall Street. And I was amazed how quickly the area flooded. what is the situation? Is there a grave concern about drainage? We don't have a whole lot of flat lands in Grenada, like Trinidad and Tobago, and let's say Guyana, but we do have mountainous situations, and the water can really cascade, can really come down rather quickly. Is there a concern? Kevin?
I would say yes, there is a concern. Now in the advent of climate change, we expect to have a lot more frequent rainfall, a lot greater volumes. And one of the tricks that we encounter is that we have a lot more impervious surfaces around. So whereas maybe a few decades ago we were highly vegetated, now it's a lot of concrete and asphalt. You know, everybody's yard is concrete. Everybody has gutters. Their gutters go directly into the drain, and that just gets the water from point A to point B much faster. And then eventually it gets to the lowest point around, which is typically some of our towns, which has predominantly, flat land, and that creates the issue with flooding. But just to stay on the topic of roads, drainage is one of the most important features on any roadway, regardless to what material you make the pavement out of. If you don't have drains, basically it's just a matter of time until that begins to crumble. Further to Mr. Gleen's point, the drains, they not only get the water away from the pavement, but they also help to lock things in place. So drainage is something that is fundamental to road construction and construction in general.
So you're saying in essence that because of more concretized areas, as you said, the yards are now concretized, there is this inability of the water to go directly into the soil, and that can create quite a bit of a problem. Do you think, though, that our public is aware of that?
I think they are.
You think?
Well, I mean, they've probably heard of it. Maybe they don't believe it as much as as you would hope. So it's something that we have to look into. So when you have a person talk about reforestation and these things, and it's really something that we have to take a deeper look into. Because it is something that eventually we would get to this stage where we would have more water than we can control, and then we have a situation like what we had in River Road, where you have to build these massive walls just to be able to contain the volume of water that enters the rivers ultimately.
Mm-hmm. As you're on that subject, is that going to be perpetually effective for the volume of water that will be coming in that area?
So the design for River Road is robust, assuming that the situation with climate change is not exacerbated. In a sense, I believe the design return period was something like 100 years for a 100-year storm. That the river walls would be tall enough to tolerate that type of rainfall. But if we continue to have as much warming as we've experienced, you never know.
Yeah. So we're happy about that River Road situation. I'm asking that simply because, John Public talks a lot, and you hear people saying, well, the road was built and there probably won't be much improvement, and the same old thing may happen. I guess you've been hearing that too, haven't you?
Well, right, of course. So we wouldn't see the full extent of the benefits until we complete that final portion just close to the Humpback Bridge.
Yeah.
To basically complete those river walls. But at least persons in the upper reaches of the river should be able to say that, whereas their property would have been flooded, since the walls have been included, they no longer face as grave an issue.
Yeah. What about timeline in regard to that?
So the time frame in which we are hoping to recommence work is sometime early in the new year to try to capitalize on the dry season. As you could imagine how tricky it is working in a river like that. If I'm not mistaken, I think the St. John's River has one of the largest catchments on the island, right?
And a great river.
The Great River is the biggest, right? But they are probably a very close second or third.
Okay.
And Busheju should have a very big one as well, right? Right, like Monkuma had probably one of the largest, because that water eventually gets down.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, go ahead,
I
Carla.
wanted to say on the drainage, there's countries that divide who monitors development based on the catchments. Catchments is where your water goes when it falls, which river or which drain leads. In Grenada, they would lead to the sea, right? Either through a drain or a river. And so they monitor and allow and approve developments based on the catchment it's in. And so it's something in small countries like ours, small, delicate countries like ours, we need to adopt that. That way, physical planning would work with forestry, would work with Ministry of Agriculture to monitor the ravines, the drains, all the tributaries that lead to the eventual discharge into the river. And what you'd see is that we'd monitor, for example, the drains in Tantine. Yeah, there's standing water there, rain or sun, there's standing water, so when rain comes, it just stops over in Grand Anse, in the prime tourist belt. Yeah, and that standing water is not just a health hazard, but it's unsightly, it's not good, and it's not difficult to manage. I've seen solutions for those areas, but it just hasn't been undertaken. I think the last thing I heard was they're trying to get buy-in from stakeholders to execute some of the projects. Mainly the Grand Anse area, but nothing has happened. But I don't think it's okay to just let that continue. Yeah, that should be addressed, and it's not difficult or expensive to address it. Whether it's a sump with submersible pumps, pumping it into the sea or wherever it needs to go, maintaining the drains. It's easy solutions, inexpensive solution, no special technology, but it's just ignored. Yeah, and it's something I think the Ministry of Health should promote it as a public health hazard, and work with ministry, a multi-ministerial approach to resolve those things. It's unsatisfactory what is happening between TAMCC, high school, GBSS, and all the expensive hotels down there, and you have that water, and today a little rain fell, and just as you said, the place is flooded, and that's a status quo, and it shouldn't continue, and it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah, let's go across to Carriacou. What's your overall assessment about roads in Carriacou and Petit Martinique?
So in terms of the road network in Carriacou, I think it's very heavily concrete, right? Probably just some asphalt in the Hillsborough here. In terms of future development for Carriacou, I'm unsure of what is the thrust in terms of any major developments in terms of housing, etc. for now. I know that the Ministry of Carriacou and Petit Martinique Affairs has been undertaking some roadworks in various areas. And some of the new roads they've been constructing, to be fair, they fit some of the criteria in terms of width, sidewalks, retaining structures as well, so they've made some good strides in recent times.
Are the challenges anyway close to that of the mainland Grenada?
I think some of the major challenges in Carriacou might be just from the logistical standpoint in terms of, should I say, equipment, manpower, because essentially any materials that they use must first come here and then get to there. So when we have challenges for cement, I could just imagine what they face in Carriacou, because if we can't get it here, I could just imagine how difficult it is to get it up there.
Yes.
When you mentioned Carriacou, I felt excited for a moment.
Why that though?
No, I thought you were speaking about if there's plans to build a bridge to Carriacou. And then
There's been a lot of talk about it, hasn't there?
yeah, I mean, you could do the feasibility, at least a feasibility study. I mean,
Well, you know, a lot of people talked about that over the years, and it became a laughable thing, right?
Let the feasibility dictate. No, you can do, there's little islands in between, you can do cause a combination. I don't have an idea of what's happening. Yeah,
Because in Norway, that's what they're doing in the fjords.
yeah, but we could do a lot. We could do a lot with Carriacou. At least link Petit Martinique and Carriacou. Link somebody.
Right.
Yeah.
Gosh, it's a modern world, isn't it?
Yeah, there's countries that don't have islands and they create islands and build a bridge to it. We have islands. Hey, yeah, we gotta wake up.
I know.
We have
Beg the right people.
We have a problem solved already.
Yeah, beg the right people.
But do our road conditions generally reflect the economic situation in our country, in a country?
Is a chicken and egg. We do a lot of rural roads for Caribbean Development Bank, funded by Caribbean Development Bank, and it's supposed to be in depressed areas. When we do those accesses in depressed areas, within a year or two after the road is completed, you see very nice houses going up. Yes, so economic development and roads go hand in hand, and that's why our ongoing program for many years was access to agricultural lands. Yeah, when you can drive and get workers in and produce out, without in an efficient manner, it generates economic activity. Agro processing plant. The first one was in a rural community going towards Monlong by Webb.
Yes.
Yeah, but because the roads were there. If it was mud tracks, you wouldn't. So I'm saying we can't wait for the economic activity. We gotta invite it by giving access, showing it's easily accessible. And so the roads should be like a stimulant, a facilitator of economic development. And so it doesn't fly well for poor countries with the World Bank and CDB formula for feasibility. Return on investment, you would show low until it's done. After it's done, it changes dramatically, because it's called Grenada sometimes. I know for one particular project, there were no houses when we built the place. 2 or 3 years later, CDB came, sent an audit to do an audit of the state of the roads, and they see all this fancy place, and they say, I thought it was supposed to be for poor country.
Right.
They had to show them pictures before. There were no houses. But once people have access, they go back to the rural communities. So you move out of these areas because there's no services, no roads, no electricity, no water. So you go where there's the services. But when you put roads, those things come. And so and that's why I want to bridge to Carriacou.
You can be a great advocate for it. So go for it. You talk, Kevin, though, about that Point Celine to Burns Point activity that you hope will be done soon. That obviously is very important. You see, you're coming into the country, and usually for someone who is visiting, let's say for the first time, that first impression they get is lasting. And I would like to know, when I get off an aircraft from whatever country I visit, boy, at least my first 5-6 miles should be smooth, shouldn't it?
That's a fair point.
So that has to be very important. Would it be treated with some measure of urgency?
Oh yes, definitely. It's something that we have discussed quite heavily in the ministry. And just further to Mr. Glean's point, as much as we have to create, proper access in the rural areas, even in the urban areas, just getting to work is a hassle. It's a lot of traffic, and that in itself is very important for us as well, because just traveling from Burns Point back to Grand Anse is a harrowing task. A drive that at night you could do it in probably, maybe 10 minutes. In peak traffic, it takes you maybe half an hour or more. Yeah, in a sense, you could probably get from Grenville to St. George's faster than you could get from St. George's to Grand Anse,
How ironic. Okay, we're going to take another break, and when we come back, though, we'll be opening up the line so that you can give us a call and just give us your thoughts, or maybe you've got a question or two that you'd want to shoot to our panelists here. So we take a short break, and we'll be right back.
The moments we share, the smiles, the laughter, and the love that fills our homes. This season, let your walls reflect the warmth of family time. Sisson's Paint, match with every shade of togetherness. Celebrate 12 weeks of Christmas with Sisson's. Buy one, get one 30% off on selected items. And with every purchase of any Sisson's Paint, you get a chance to win US $100 every week for 12 weeks, from October 1st to December 22nd. Terms and conditions apply. Available at all Sisson's hardware dealers nationwide. Sisson's, internationally tested, brilliantly affordable.
Spend $50 or more at any Hubbard's department or participating outlets for a chance to win free fuel, free drinks, free prizes, free property and vehicular insurance, free Hub TV and internet, free electricity, free coke, free water, free cooking gas, free paint supplies, free Dutch Lady milk, free passes to Sunshine promotion events for 2024, free groceries, all for one whole year. And every winner receives a free lunch package. But that's not all. Drive away in style in a brand new Isuzu D-Max. It sips, it doesn't guzzle. So fill out your entries and place them into the marked entry boxes. This promotion is brought to you in part by Dutch Lady, Danny, Promo, Supreme Bleach, Creative Chef, Grenlac, Floor, Salt Petroleum, Grenadian General Insurance Company Limited, Coca-Cola, Sunshine Promotion, Caribberies, Guap Bag, Sisson's Paint, and Food Fear. Promotion runs from April 2nd to December 24th. Terms and conditions apply.
Win a living room makeover with Quartz Ready Cash. One lucky winner will get a chance to win a living room makeover with any cash loan. No security required. And affordable monthly payments. It's quick, easy, and hassle-free. Visit one of our locations for more information about getting your Ready Cash loan today. This month is all about you with Quartz Ready Cash. Ready when you are. Terms and conditions apply.
Grenada, get ready. A new season of the Grenleg Debates is coming. Informative, impromptu, bright young minds sparking powerful ideas. Tune in.
And welcome back, as of course we are addressing road conditions here in Grenada, Carriacou, Petit, Martinique. Just to remind you that the number to call is 440-1252, and we're told that quite a few people have been calling in already. We've got our first call on the line. Caller, good evening. Thanks for holding.
Yes, good afternoon to you, Mr. Worme. Welcome back, and God's blessing.
Thank you.
Good night to your panelists, and good night to Mr. Blanche. Nice to hear you, sir. I'll tell you something. I listened to this, and I'm hearing exactly water should behave over the last 20, 25 years. Yeah? And you gentlemen, you're on the right trajectory. You see, Mr. Green mentioned about tool. And one of the tool, or part of the tool, is your equipment that you should not sell over the years. Yeah? If you had this equipment, you would not be asking about tool. So you need your equipment. I've been preaching this. You need your equipment to be able to do all of the work, because I believe we have the engineering skill and capability right here in this country to do all of that and any work that we need to do. Roads is my passion. Roads is not only to walk of a vehicle. Roads have to be able to attract commerce. Yeah? Not only buildings, but it must be able to attract large. And let me be specific. And I have been speaking to Mr. Blanche sometime in the past. St. David's, we want roads from Lassages to Crucial. Lassages on the beach coast. And we would want to have roads from the main to every beach. So this could link up the seacoast roads to make St. David's an economic hub. We need commerce. We need to have roads, water, electricity, toilet and bath facility, and all these roads and all these beaches. So I want you to put that in your developmental plan. Yeah? So that when you start this project, all these amenities can take place, because we have to urgently create commerce to rescue this country as it relates to revenue. Yeah? We can't continue borrowing and increasing the price of goods. We have to be able to make our revenue. And if you do all of those things, it will attract commerce, because here you're creating room for the existing business people to expand and new business people to come in. But we need the attractions. We don't need wire road. You need very large road, well built. Yeah?
Okay.
And you need strong supervision.
Okay, Carla, thank you very, very much. Interesting, he spoke about St. David's and the roads, of course, that lead to the beach. Some of these properties might be private properties. Isn't that much of a concern too? Kevin?
Yes, I believe so. I think he also made reference to having a coastal road.
Yes.
Well, I guess that's something we could look into. The logistics of it might be a bit of a concern, because we do have a lot of mangroves close to the coastline, and you might have persons who want to maintain some of the, should I say, the natural aspect of the. So, and this is why, further to your point earlier, the stakeholder consultation is, of grave importance, right? Because it's good to have somewhat of a quorum in when you're developing things, because there are some persons who, for example, might be very opposed to us, doing what it might take to have some of these roads, constructed. But I think he did basically collaborate with us on the point that the road infrastructure is critical for spurring an economic activity, and we kind of have to start seeing roads more as that than as simply a means to an end, so to speak, but to actually see it as a bigger picture and how it fits into the the broader plan for development of an area.
Okay, I think we've got another call on the line. Caller?
Good night, sir.
Yeah, go right ahead, would you?
How are you, Mr. Worme?
Doing pretty okay, thanks.
Away from the TV a little bit, yeah? I'm so happy to get on your program tonight, sir.
Yes.
I'm pretty happy to get on your program. Mr. Green, you really has a passion for you, and you're concerned about Grenada, generally, I do. One of the things you said which made me, inspired me, with the Chinese, that project they built in the West China Sea. So building a road to Caribou, that is, it is in reality. Give the Chinese the next 10 years or 50 years in Grenada, and we'll see a bridge going over, which will attract a lot of tourists. You know, one of the things that you said, which is really true. I think it was a couple of days ago, one of the speeches was made at Morris Bishop, which they were talking about the wastage of the mangoes and this and that. You know, if roads cut through the island of Grenada, and we developed on these roads, people were able to harvest more of the produce. And this could be also taken, there could be marketing, and we could only look at different stages. You know, roads definitely create an economy. Roads build an economy. I had the opportunity to visit Cuba. I went in Cuba for a bit. And when you look at the swamps in Cuba, there are places which are swamps. There are no residential areas, you know. But the problem we have in Grenada, we have too much politics in everything. I think the politics thing killing us. Let us put that behind our back and let us look to develop the country in a proper way. Let us use the little we have to build the roads. Because everything we have in Grenada has been imported. The only thing we have is just a bit of gravel and Monrush, as Mr. Green was said a couple of months ago. You know, let us look at the little we have, try to use it, and let us develop it. You know, let us use it in a kind of wise and honest way. That young man with you, I can't remember his name, was on the panel with you. I mean, I know him for a little while, you know, and I understand that he has a lot of ideas. And Mr. Worme, a man like you, I mean, you know, I feel happy. I don't know, there is so much I have to say. I don't know how to put it over. But this program that you have here, please, I think you should, it's not only for tonight, but you should have it on like a Sunday program where more people could do involved, you know. We should take this program to the villages, you know, in the schools, community centers, you know. Let us work on this, sir. There's too much to say for now. I mean, overwhelmed with saying things that we're not at all.
All right, thank you a lot. But we appreciate your contribution immensely. Carla, he said something very interesting, and that is the whole political angle, and there's so much politics involved. One of the things we did discuss about, talked a little bit off air, we had situations in the country where just before election, for example, there were roads built here, everything was done in such a rapid manner, and I guess there were not much consideration given to a lot of other details pertinent to good road construction and maintenance, and I hope that's something we won't necessarily see happening in the future.
Yeah,
a quick comment and we'll go back to that.
Yeah, the quick comment on the first two callers combined, yeah, they speak to getting roads into places where there's none now, right? And there's a statutory body, Physical Planning Development Authority, that has their role is to prepare a national development plan that should be law. Now that national development plan would have the roads, because the roads have to lead to somewhere, right? And it would be it's an integrated approach. Yeah. So the roads is the infrastructure that would feed the proposed developments. Yeah. And so the two callers, they're really speaking to the need for a national development plan.
Very much.
Yeah.
We got a call on the line. Caller, thank you for holding. Go right ahead. Go ahead, caller. Okay, we must have missed that call. So just to remind you, it's 440-1252, just in case you want to give us a call. The line is open.
The second part of your question was the politics. Well, both you, the second caller, and yourself. And I say part of the hindrance for the Caribbean generally, CARICOM countries, including Grenada, is that we try to fit everything into the election cycle. And not everything fits into the election cycle. Some planning goes beyond the election cycle, and so we suffer. We suffer because of that. You know, resources go at a pace leading up to election that should have been slower, and it may be slow after the election. And that's not just Grenada, that's a CARICOM, and probably the way the new word now is weaponizing. We shouldn't weaponize infrastructure. Yeah, infrastructure, we do what we need to do, yeah, but it has been.
Yeah. We have another call on the line, do we? Yeah, caller, go right ahead, please, would you? Go ahead, caller. Caller, are you there? Okay, we must have lost that caller. Just to remind you again, 440-1252, that is the number to reach us here. If you have a comment that you'd like to make, or suggestion for that matter, you can certainly give us a call. So the way forward, maybe you can give us in essence, what do we really need to do now? We know that there is assessment and all of that. Anything else we need to do to forge ahead and go forward to ensure that we've got good roads in the country? Oh, hold on, we'll hold it there. We've got a caller. Caller, good evening, thanks for holding. Welcome.
Hello, good evening. Can you hear me?
I am hearing you.
Very well, thank you. Good evening, Mr. Worme. I'm happy to hear you once more there, my dear brother. God bless you.
Thank you very much. Nice to be back.
I'm hearing some very interesting comments coming from the engineers. One thing is evident is that our quote-unquote standards in this country, as it relates to the construction of roadways, have been and continue to be lousy, to say the least. But the one particular observation which I have made myself, and I thought I should get confirmation from the engineers. The axle bearing capacities of some of these massive trucks on the roads. Can the gentleman tell us what is the standard axle bearing capacity for roadways in this country generally, as compared to the axle bearing capacities of these probably 30 tonners that pass me on the roads here and so on? And is it reasonable and fair for this to happen? How much will it cost the country eventually to have this disparity? Is it something that we should continue with, or is it something that they think we should stop doing or move immediately to construct the roads for that? In other words, that the capacity of the roads should lead the way for the development of the country. Thank you very much. I trust my question is understood.
Appreciate it. I think he's rather clear. So, Carlisle, you go.
I can go
for that matter.
Yeah, I will come in after. That's fine.
I share the sentiment. It's one of my grievances. Yes, the bridges and the roads were not designed for some of the trucks that's allowed to run, that's allowed to be imported and loaded to maximum capacity. They weren't. And so the infrastructure is crumbling at a faster rate, a much faster rate. Yeah. When they introduced the SL designation, it was as though it was like a watershed moment. Bring in whatever you want, you just pay X dollars. And that's not how roads are managed. And that's why the exercise that the CTO said that the consultants are undertaking is a serious one. Yeah, and there's only certain roads that they should be allowed to run on after it's proven that the pavement is adequate. Okay. If not, it shouldn't. Yeah, and it really should be. It might have a cost because they were allowed to bring it in, but it was an error. It was an error. So the bridges are going down faster. The retaining walls are getting pushed to the sides. So a lot more slippages. And that's why I expect many more Molyneux quicker, at a higher frequency than before. So because they weren't the surcharge that these walls were designed, they didn't envisage these trucks. That's not the standard loading. These are very heavily loaded beyond the capacity. New bridges would be able to take it. And I'm saying in the interim, we must control. It shouldn't be. We must.
Just about to suggest that maybe we take a deeper look at load limiting.
You have to.
We have a call on the line though. Let's not keep the caller waiting. Caller, good evening. Good evening.
Hello?
Yes, you're on the air. Go right ahead, sir. You're on air. Go right ahead.
I'm only focusing on the drainage of the road. That was a valid point by the gentleman and Mr. White. Turn off the volume.
Yeah, caller, go ahead, please, would you?
Yes. I was only talking on behalf of the road, like the road infrastructure in terms of the drainage. That is a problem to our road. The next thing you should think, like, the bushing program, the Ministry of Works, Mr. Man, what you call him, Mr. Jacket and Tiley.
All right. Okay, caller. Thanks for your contribution. I'm not sure if we got that second.
Yes. Yeah, I think
I did.
On the bushing.
Yeah, I think he. Well, we do have some debushing ongoing now.
Yes.
We've also been discussing internally on ways we could improve the project. So, that program in itself, So at least we don't have. So is that we should have it on a more of a roving basis instead of having it to isolated times in the year. Because in between those times you kind of have a lot more overgrowth, So maybe we should ramp up in the
relocate. Yeah. We have another caller. Good evening, caller. Go ahead. Yes, caller, go right ahead, please, would you? Okay, well, we may have lost that caller. Just to remind you, 440-1252, that's the number to call if you want to be onto the program. How important, though, is the bushing? How is it associated with roads and maintenance?
So it's different things, right? So for the overhangings, it's critical to keep moisture off of the roadway at extended periods. Also is heavily from a aesthetic point of view as well. It's a lot of times if you notice persons, when you have the bushes going into the road, because remember you drive with your peripheral vision, so you tend to stay away from once you have objects encroaching. Something that is also important from a debushing standpoint is that there is a particular limit to which trees and vegetation is useful on a hillside. When they get too large and overgrown, they start acting like a fulcrum, in the sense that sometimes a lot of the slides that we experience on the West Coast, when you see those trees falling off the hillside, is because they got a bit too tall, they get a little top heavy, and then gravity kind of uses them like a crowbar, and then they end up breaking off and pulling down a lot of things with them. So it's good to maintain should I say, an intermediate height in terms of vegetation and so on. You don't want the hillsides too barren, because then it's just like having concrete. The water just falls off of it, and it's not good for erosion control. So it's striking a delicate balance, in the process.
Yeah. In regards to that feasibility survey that is ongoing, how much consideration would be given in regards to pedestrians rather than just vehicular traffic?
Part of the traffic counts is to count the pedestrian traffic in an area as well. And it also would take in consideration sidewalks, pedestrian crosswalks, even lay-bys, bus stops, and other road furnishings that is not necessarily used by vehicles but by pedestrians as well. And the walk-in public, so to speak.
Okay. Do we have another caller? Yeah. Caller, good evening. Thanks for holding. Go right ahead.
Yeah, good evening to your panel. I was just curious to know, would you all be taking into consideration the plans for a good sidewalk, the foliage falling into the sea? Is that in the plans to completely revamp that foliage that's falling into the sea with the electrical cables going underground from Point Saline to Ross Point? Thank you.
Yeah. Guys, you got this general gist?
Yeah, so you're asking about the sidewalks, I guess, in the foliage right along that same road, right? Yeah, so part of the scope of the project would involve, so essentially in that feasibility study, 2 or 3 options for a roadway configuration was presented. There were options to have sidewalks on both sides or one side. To have the sidewalk on the left-hand side, when you go in 2 Grandlands, you would have to cover that box drain on the left-hand side. That in itself would add costs to the project, so all of those were considerations that would be something that we kind of have to decide, what is ideal. But sidewalks for sure, because you have a lot of foot traffic in that area.
Yeah.
To be fair, even ahead of us doing major works, there are some areas of sidewalks that we have to at least protect, so at least persons are not forced to walk in the road, which presents an issue for drivers and for the pedestrians themselves.
Okay.
So short answer, caller, yes, sidewalks.
Great. We have another caller, don't we? Yeah, caller, good evening. Go right ahead. Go ahead, caller. Okay, may have lost that call. I just want to bring up a matter which we did not address, but much of the road paintings, pedestrian crossings, there are a lot of humps across the country now, and I don't remember all of them, Kevin. I really don't remember all of them. There are some that I really remember, and then there are times, you're driving and you may not concentrate as you would like. And all of a sudden you realize that you're 1.5 feet in the air. We'll address that shortly. Caller, good evening.
Hello?
Hi, good evening. Go right ahead.
Come on the program, right?
Yes, you are live.
Yeah, what happened now, you have a road down up in the valley, because I live in the valley. And what happened, that road was supposed to come out years ago. And it's a come out road, because what happened now, they supposed to cut the road. I don't know what happened. They're waiting for them guys to come and put the points in the road. And up to now, the road, they never do anything. The minister come in, they say they go come and try to get the points to come and cut the road. But up to now, they never come and watch the road. And how much years now they come and measure the road? When time to come and measure the road now, look the other day, a house burned on top here. The fire truck have to stay way down by Kim down there and watch the house burned on top of the hill.
And you said that's in Montu?
Eh?
You say, is it Montu?
Yeah, in the valley.
What's the name of the road?
Well, this road, they don't make him down in the valley.
In the valley? Okay.
Oh, the valley area.
He watching up on the center we came on top of the hill there. That road was cut more than 15 years now, that road was cut. And up to now, they come and measure the road. When they measure the road, they say they come back, they never come back. Our government come in the same thing. They say they measure the road, they want to put points, up no points can go. When they say the road have to go, you have a guy, he put wire in the road, and he said, they don't know the road have to pass.
Okay.
So nobody never come and do anything and say anything.
Is there some way we could get in touch with him?
You know?
Yeah,
so
well...
we know what's going on. Because when husband, the fire truck has to stay below there and watch the husband.
We got you. But we're still not quite sure the exact location you're referring to.
And
maybe you can give...
I think that was the news or whatever. They never come and check the road again.
Okay.
You know, and that's what we're suffering about, is the road. Everybody's about the road.
Okay.
And they say yes, they're coming and they ain't coming.
Well, you know what? Kevin is going to take a note of that, and I suspect he's going to do some follow-up work. But thanks.
Because just come down and turn right down by Kim, Officer Kim.
Okay.
That is our day.
All right. Well, we've taken note about that. Thanks a lot.
The road officer should be able to
look into that.
Decipher where is the location.
Do we have another call online? No, we don't. Yeah, so, but I guess everybody wants good road in their location. Everybody wants to ensure they have good conditions to traverse. And obviously it is a challenging thing for everyone. But let's just go back to the whole idea of paintings in the road and markings. That's very important, isn't it? Who really are in charge of that?
So essentially, the police, basically, I would say they assist with the marking and remarking of some of the humps and pedestrian crossings. What I would say is that I don't think traditionally we have been using the ideal type of paint for the job. So the paint that you're supposed to use is called a thermoplastic, although you do have more modern solutions that are not heated up. So how the thermoplastics work, you basically have plastic pellets that you heat up and then you place them on the road. So if you could recall, for a lot of the traffic lights, you would see the difference in the stop lines that are painted close to those traffic intersections as opposed to some of the other humps and so on. Those are actually like a separate layer onto the road itself. And to actually take out that paint, you have to actually rip up the asphalt because it adheres so well. So that is actually something that we are, we've entered into some discussions preliminarily about finding the right paint. It is a bit of an investment because it's an actual machine for the thermoplastics to be put down, but that is something that we have been looking into.
Yeah, but there's some of the humps are unpainted. They're absolutely no paint. We're not talking about faded paint. No, we're talking about no paints whatsoever.
Okay. Well, that's something that I guess we have to look into, more aggressively, because I do know the point where you say that sometimes you're driving and poof, you're up in the air.
It could be very dangerous, can't it? So that's something that needs, I would say, swift address. Should not be put on the back burner. It should be right on the front burner. We have a call online. Good evening. Caller, good evening. Go ahead. Okay, must have lost that call. And we talk about who is responsible. You say your department in collaboration with the police, or is it directly the police?
No, I believe it would be the Ministry of Infrastructure ultimately. I think traditionally the police has always stepped in because they also play a part in, managing traffic and, protecting the public as well. So it is a collaborative approach.
Yeah. As we're kind of coming to the close of the program, how important is our citizens, our people, in regards to ensuring that we've got good roads and maintenance thereof? Do the ordinary citizen have any role at all to play in maintenance, ensuring that the roads are kept, and that we're very cautious about what we do, and maybe we see something that we can call your department and say, hey, there is a pothole here, or should they take initiative, for example, see a pothole and somebody mix some concrete and pour it into the hole? What should be done?
I think the ideal thing is for them to get in touch with the ministry, and we will try our best to address it.
Okay.
So currently, we are working on having a better presence on social media and creating our own website. Part of the website would be a feature that would allow you to, should I say, drop a pin or a geolocation of an issue, so that it filters more efficiently to the persons who could do something about it to have the matter addressed.
Yeah.
In terms
Just hold on, Kevin. Do we have a caller? Yes, we do. Caller, go ahead, please.
Hello?
Yes, please.
Are you hearing me now?
I am.
Okay, wonderful. Good night to you, Pastor Worme, and to presenters. A very interesting program. It is coincidental that only yesterday my wife and I were talking about the Western Main Road. And the road to Carriacou is not as far-fetched as you might think it is. As a matter of fact, one thing I was saying yesterday, I was observing, is that probably that road from whether that repair is being done there now, close to Happy Hill. I think that if you look at that west coast, a road like this up to Guave may make sense. When you think of climate change and you think of all the cascading hills and the boulders that come down from time to time, I think a freestanding road all the way to Guave, bypassing all this, those little ins and outs and probably having connecting roads to them, to some of the villages. Because to me, that's the only way, especially if we're going to continue to have development as lopsided as it is, where almost everybody has to come to work in the south. It is impractical to continue trying to use those little roads with the twists and turns and so. I don't know what you think about that. One question I also have, I live at True Blue, where a road was done just recently. And I never knew that this could happen, but I never knew that you could actually have a road that is too smooth. And this is a major concern. I'm in my house every day, and I'm hearing vehicles losing traction. They're screeching. They're not speeding, but their tires are screeching. And there was an accident just outside of my house last week. A big truck, it lost traction, and it went straight across the road into the bushes and actually hit somebody's back fence, not the front fence, the back fence. Is there something wrong about the mixture, the finishing on these roads? Why is it so glazed, almost mirror finish? Can you explain something about that first, please? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Guys? Too smooth? Not smooth enough? Too rough?
Yeah, I just want to take that opportunity to tell the caller and the listeners from before that the asphalt mix, the mix for the asphaltic concrete remains a challenge on the island. Yeah, the technicians at it, probably they're doing their best, but with what they have. But we don't have the best asphaltic laboratories to do the proper testing to come up with the ideal consistency in the aggregates. There's a lot of variables that we just too poorly equipped to handle it properly. Yeah, but it leads to, as you say, some shortcomings that could be dangerous. But just to get back on the markings, I'm not less concerned, but I didn't want to limit it to painting of the speed bumps, right? Central to road markings is the median, the center line, and main roads should be compulsory from the airport to Bunce Point, it should be compulsory. Throughout St. George's, that should be compulsory. Western Main Road, Eastern Main Road, that should be compulsory. So that every time there's a little fender bender, any little accident, you see the police at the
no ambiguity.
Pull the width of the road, and we should be operating relative to the center, and the edges of the road should be paved too. And that's the markings. Yeah,
that we need to get.
The speed bumps obviously should have signs, warning signs, and they should be identifiable. That you can't just put on something. Put on obstruction and hope they see it. Yeah, but the median, I mean, this is weird. You know, it's if we want to get serious with tourism and car rentals, people comfortable renting cars here, we gotta step up the game. Step up the game. You know, there should be road markings, so you know you're driving on the left. You're on the left side of this line. Right? No.
And also, too, if the main road is demarcated, you kind of drive without needing a map, right? Because at least you know.
Yeah, you know when you're off.
You know when you're not on. You know when you're not. At least you know when you're not on the main road. At least.
Yeah. But it's a serious thing. It is a serious thing, you know. And probably they need police less if the man clearly wasn't on his side. You know, he might, you know, bring the insurance and sign off and you don't need the police. But the median should be marked, and no overtaking sign solid, you know, and overtaking caution,
no U-turn.
No U-turn, those things, markings on the road is, you know, so we complain about drive carefully, drive defensively, but you have to estimate the middle of the road.
Well, you have to know what you're defending. It's like cricket. If you don't know where the wicket is, you
have to estimate the middle of the road. You know? I have friends that say, boy, I stay in the middle of the road until something coming. Give him enough space to pass. But it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be, you know. And so you have to step up, at least start in the urban centers. Start in the urban centers, then go in the connecting the roads that connect urban centers, and you don't have to do the whole island, but get a project and a pilot project and run with it. Markings. Yeah.
Oh, we have noticed, though, an increase in paintings of side walls, etc., predominantly white and black. How effective is that for drivers?
It looked good. I had a friend that made a joke with it. He said he's scared to stand up on the sidewalk too long.
Meaning?
His shoes may get painted black and white. It was a hectic pace, I think, leading up to Independence or something. Yeah. There was a drive, and he said he had to move around for the guys to paint black and white. So
but it is helpful, isn't it?
No, it is, especially for visibility. The edge of the road should be painted.
Yes.
So when and I think that's where it's painted mainly on the edges. The edges of the road should be marked, like the middle. But the middle is still a little more important than the edge. And Tantine, I think they had put some blinking red lights. It's helpful. Any demarcation, especially at night, so when it's raining, you don't know where the road ends and the water starts in Tantine. And I've seen several cars go down in the drain, you know, and so those things are hazardous, and our roads shouldn't be hazardous. And when it's inexpensive to correct, we should prioritize.
You did talk about it not being as sophisticated as we make it, and you referred to Tantine, for example, that has the capacity to flood very quickly, and other low-lying areas. People are saying, I'm sure, how easy is this? You're making it easier than it really is.
No, there's a solution that was shared with a lot of the hotel owners seeking buy-in. I think probably the mall, the owners of all who own development along those flooded drains, constantly flooded drains in Grand Dance. They were approached with a solution, and the contractor came up with a price, and they were supposed to be buying. Everybody contributed, and I think one contributed the land, and so the idea is to let the water drain into that sump, a large sump, and you pump it, a force main. So it will no longer trickle by gravity, but it would be flowing with a proper gradient into that sump and pumped into it. And a similar thing could happen at Tantine, and it's simple. It's not difficult.
Okay. Do we have another caller? Okay, so we don't have another caller. I think it's time for us to bring up the curtain down on our program this evening. Very interesting program indeed. And please remember what you need to do if you see some potholes anywhere. Give Kevin a call and say, hey, there's a pothole here that needs to be mended. I want to thank you both, gentlemen, for coming and speaking and sharing your great knowledge and experience with us here on the program. It was nice being on board with you just for this one-off show. Thank you so much. Until next time, I'm Stephenson Worme.
Thank you.